A very warm welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you're all doing good. Today is the 3rd July 2020. Day is Friday. I'm sure you all are doing great this morning. I would like to start today's discussion with this quote. Little things affect little minds. If you observe few people, right, their approach, their, viewpoint about life is very narrow. And you will find that these people are affected by little things. Now, little things are big problem because little things are like energy vampire. They suck away all your energy. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. This smart course is for Civil Services Examination. It covers both pre and mains examination. To find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. Till 10th July, EMI offer is also available. To download the PDF of today's lecture, check out my Telegram channel. You can follow me on Facebook. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Dear friends, today we have total 6 articles on our table, right? The 6th one, you won't find it on this index. 6th one, I'm going to explain you guys using one image. The first one that we are going to talk about is from Times of India. It's about China. Second one is from Indian Express. Again, it's about China. The third one is about private railways. It's from Times of India. It's an editorial of Times of India. Then we have 2 articles from the Hindu newspaper. One is about United Nations Security Council and India. And the last one is about torture culture. We were talking about torture yesterday. We are going to talk about a few laws and things associated with this torture. And then I will take you through some important news items. As citizens, our actions belie our feelings. We all feel for our soldier, and generally speaking, right, most of us are not happy with this LSE issue, right? The way China has been behaving aggressively is something that is not acceptable. We are not afraid, but this is something that we cannot tolerate. We cannot let it go. Unfortunately, what's happening is that our feelings are right, but our actions are not matching our feelings. There are so many people, even today, they are ready to buy electronic items made in China. The reason why I'm saying that we need to boycott this thing is because, first of all, China has a sort of near complete domination. It is basically ruling our consumer electronics market. Right? If you want a proof for it, then observe the gadgets that are around you. Your Wi-Fi router, the alarm clock that you are using, the machine of that alarm clock, your computer, your mobile phone, your batteries. There are so many things. I can go on and on. Right? You will find that China is nearly dominating consumer electronics market in our country. The biggest problem is that they are making huge money out of it, and this profit, do you know how much they are making? The money that they are making from this exports or this sales of electronic items, this money is enough to fund their whole military expenditure on Indian border. So basically, they are using our own money, the profit they are generating from selling things to us, that money is used against our country. So this should be an eye-opener for every one of us. I strongly support Government of India in this decision of banning 59 Chinese apps. What our soldiers are doing at border, government is supporting our soldier and their actions by banning this Chinese apps. I'm going to talk about some technical things about these apps and how they operate. In the sense, laws associated with cybercrime and other things as we move on to next topic. Government of India has used Section 69A of Information Technology Act, which clearly says that if anything is affecting the sovereignty of our country, then we can block that particular thing or company or anything, right? So India has done nothing wrong. We have been very clear, technically speaking, as well as we have been very technical here. We are technical in the sense that we have this Section 69A with the help of which we can block this sort of companies. On your screen, you can see this newspaper, right? This is a very famous newspaper of the world, right? One of the best in the world. It's called The Guardian. And I think it was a 2019 report of The Guardian that do you know TikTok? Normally people say that TikTok, there are so many youngsters there saying that TikTok was a sort of, a sort of source of entertainment for them. And even today you see TikTok videos are viral in WhatsApp and other platforms. Okay, anyway, the problem with this Chinese companies, what they do is they are working very closely with the government as well as military of China. You won't find videos on TikTok pertaining to Tiananmen Square, because this is something that will make China infamous. Tiananmen Square proper history. If you search videos about Tibetan independence and things associated with it, you will not find it, because TikTok has removed these things as per Guardian report back in 2019. And they keep on removing this sort of stuff because they don't want to project to China in bad way. China's national intelligence law clearly says that each and every Chinese company is legally obliged to assist and cooperate with state intelligence. So whenever Chinese people, this government, if they want to access any data, means Chinese companies, they have to share this data with them. China's cybersecurity law also says clearly that all companies must accept supervision from the government. So even though these companies are private, right, government hand is always there. February 2020, TikTok updated its privacy policy. And this allows the company to take large amount of data of Indians, including metadata pertaining to location, mobile carrier, browsing history, and share it with law enforcement, including in China. So basically, our data is available with Chinese authorities. And I was explaining yesterday how they use our own data in defining our, not defining, but the right word would be using this data. They can judge us. They can. I can't find the right word, but they will know who you are. They can judge you. They can have your personality profile, what you like and what you don't like. We need to do more in this area, in this consumer electronics goods, and we can do it as well. The problem is that at present we are so dependent on foreign companies. Like for chatting, we are using WhatsApp. For video calls, we are using Zoom. This 59 Chinese apps banning thing, we used without the help of America, without this Google and Apple. It's not possible for us to ban this 59 Chinese apps. So you can clearly say that without the support of US government, this was not possible. So what are the things that we can do? Areas in which we can excel. The first thing is solar and battery energy. This is the present and future. Our vehicles, our countries are going to run on solar as well as battery energy. China is far ahead from us, but we can. If Lao Tzu has only said this thing, great journey starts with first step. So we need to take the right step. Without energy self-reliance, we cannot achieve anything. So first thing is solar and battery energy. Second thing, consumer electronics. What is the core of or heart of consumer electronics? It is SoC, that is system on a chip. Now, fortunately, Indians, we have some of the finest SoC designers in the world in our country. So what we need to do is we need to create this Atmanirbhar Grand Challenge. We can attract so many people. They can participate, this SoC designers, they can participate in it, and then we can hunt the best, and then we can use those best people, those best minds to develop consumer electronics in our country. It should be world-beating quality and price. These are the two things, right? The price should be reasonable, quality should be top-notch, and then artificial intelligence. this is present as well as future. We can use artificial intelligence in so many areas, particularly medical science. And Turing Award winner Raj Reddy said that AI means helping 7 billion people. So we can also find this thing that AI, Indian version of AI is going to have this civilizational ethos in it, and this is something that world needs at present. What we can learn from our soldiers is not to give up. They go through so many challenges. At present, we are also going through so many challenges, isn't it? So it's okay if we are not number one in solar and battery energy. It's okay if we are not number one in consumer electronics. It's okay if we are not number one in artificial intelligence. But we can, if we start today, then we will definitely be at the very top spot, or at the summit, or you can say at the peak of this all three areas. And this is the only way out. We cannot let Chinese companies, hardware or software wise, we cannot allow these companies to rule our market. So to achieve this Atmanirbharta, we have to, or self-reliance, we have to transform our expenditure. At present, we are buying someone else's product, right? This is our expenditure. We have to transform expenditure into capacity building. We can produce things here. So producing here, manufacturing here is just one step. But very important, of course, you need to learn how to make things as quickly, as best quality as possible. Once we achieve, we cannot wait for the mastery on manufacturing, but as soon as we start manufacturing things over here, at the same time we need to focus on research and development, and this is the key here. Once we can create new research, new products, new ways of doing things, new services, then we can head towards global leadership, right? So transforming expenditure into capacity into R&D into global leadership. This is what Atmanirbharta should be, all about. Moving on to next item, a much needed reset. 2020 is going to be a very special year. When I say special in the sense, it's going to be a very dangerous one as well, because this Chinese origin COVID-19, the way it has affected every one of us around the world. It has affected, most of the nations. Second thing is, many countries are going to reset their relationship with China. For decades, China has grown and profited from the world with little or no scrutiny at all. Do you know that China supports those states who have direct connection with terrorism? For example, Pakistan. Chinese technologies, right? What they have, how they have built their technology. Are they at present they are doing R&D, but do you know how they started? They started by copying things. They started by plagiarism. They used to copy technology of Western world. They used to copy paste things, and they used to make money out of it. And then they made money, and now they have invested this money in R&D and things, and now they are we can see the results of their research. So Chinese technology sector is based on illegally stealing and proliferating technologies from the West. At present, it looks like the whole world's eyes are now are open now. They have dominated our manufacturing sector, finished products, as well as a few products like China is doing very well, or has been doing very well for a very long period of time. And their next focus was IT sector of our country, because we are one of the most populated, and we are going to be one of the world's largest connected economies as internet penetration approaches 1 billion people. So most of these countries are, Facebook, very interested because biggest customer base is in India. WhatsApp, again, a product of Facebook now. They are also, they have Facebook has invested some 10% in geo platforms. So all these countries are interested in India in terms of IT, because we are a very big market for them. And China is also interested. China has invested some $3 billion in last 5 years in various different startups and innovative companies in our country. since this launch of Digital India program, we have observed this thing that startups and innovations have quite flourished in our country. And at present, it's a matter of concern that out of 30 Indian unicorns, we find 18 unicorns are supported by Chinese investors. China is taking advantages of our weak privacy and data protection regulations. That's what I was talking about here, right? What they are doing is they are stealing our data. The reason they can steal our data is because our privacy policy, our rules and regulations, data protection regulations are very weak. A recent report has also said that Chinese funding to Indian tech startups is making an impact disproportionate to its value given the deepening penetration of technology across sectors in India. These are investments made by nearly 24 Chinese tech companies that have funded 92 Indian startups. China is embedded in Indian society, the economy, and technology ecosystem that influences it. Here we need to create one ecosystem in our country, right? We need to have this golden triangle where on one side you have universities, they can do all this R&D work. Universities should be supported by Government of India as well as state governments. So funding, freedom, these are the things that should be provided by government. At the same time, you have companies here, right? Companies, government should design policies in such a way that companies can flourish. Companies can provide funding to universities. Universities can provide them theories and R&D data so that they can implement these things. So we need to have this golden triangle. That's what China has achieved, and that's what USA used to have. Means they do have it even today. So that this is something that is still missing in our country, this ecosystem. So this is one of the most, this golden triangle that I have just explained to you guys. The other thing is free pass to China in technology was dangerous for democracy. And now we realize this thing, the way they are stealing data, the way they have profited out of it, and they're using the same money to bully this countries, democratic countries like India. China has done quite well. It has basically, from last 30 years, China has made huge amount of money. It has fooled most of the democracies. And anyway, back in 2010-11, the thing that we find at present with the WHO is dominated by China now, because you find the Chinese staff is there, and Chinese staff are too many of Chinese people in WHO, so they have dominated this WHO. They tried to dominate this UNCERT. This is United Nations Committee for Internet-related Policies back in 2010-11. And unfortunately, at that point of time, India was supporting this stand of China that you should, go for it and have more staff in this. But fortunately, this didn't work out, so that is a good thing. But we need to be very careful about China, dominating various different global organizations. And we have talked about other things, other steps that we need to take, right? Artificial intelligence, and just a few minutes ago we had. So those are the steps that we need to take to counter China. Now, dear friends, let's talk about Indian Railways. If you're following daily financial news analysis, then yesterday we were talking about this news item about entry of private players in Indian Railways. So Indian Railways has decided to invite private sector participation in running passenger trains, and this is a good decision because it was been discussed 5 years ago. Bibek Debroy committee recommended that we need to invite private trains, private participation, private investment in trains, right? And the reason why this is required is because at present Indian Railways is running some 13,000 trains, and the real requirement is 20,000 trains. So we have a shortage of 7,000 trains, and this is the main reason why we find our trains are too crowded. Railways has finally announced a plan to invite participation for 109 pairs of routes. Contract will be of 35 years. If you're using electricity of railways, if you're using, of course, you are going to use this infrastructure, right? This putri or this rail tracks. So you need to pay usage fee, and whatever profit you make, everything will be under contract, but everything means you have to share a little bit of profit as well with government, with railways. So this is how it will work. Likely investment is going to be 30,000 crore rupees. Competition will help, eventually it will benefit the users, the consumers or customers, right? At present we have no option. Railway is dominated, or there is a monopoly of government. But when you have private trains, just like private planes, and early on we used to have just BSNL, but when we got this Vodafone and other companies, so we saw that there was a big change in services and other things. So this is going to be same in long term. We will find so many benefits. Consumers will eventually benefit. There are so many things that we need to change with railways as well. Do you know that railway tickets are very cheap or reasonable? And one of the reason why they are reasonable is because government is charging more money. Means these passenger services are subsidized by freight earnings. So this is something that I am not happy with personally, because what we are doing is we are increasing the cost of transportation for freight services, and that rise or whatever extra money that we make on, or Indian Railways make money from that, this freight earning is used to subsidize passenger services. For a very long period of time, various different political parties and governments, they have pampered Indian consumers, right? Of course, railways, this Indian Railways is a backbone of our transportation, but we have pampered, we have created this habit of giving subsidies to passengers, and now if you increase price, then that will become a big topic for them. So we need to clean up this thing, and for long term, what we need is we need a proper regulator. And from now itself, we should create such a structure that is vibrant enough, that is solid enough. As you will start practical trains, practical, when you will start practical things, when this thing will become a reality, challenges are going to be there. I'm not saying that we cannot create a system that is challenge proof. We are going to face some challenges, so that's fine. Those challenges we have to tackle at that time. But as far as possible, we should make sure that we see things and we do things in such a way that we have minimum challenges once things are launched. Then, in an uncertain world, a seat at global high table. I'm sure we all are aware about the fact that now India is going to join United Nations Security Council from 1st January 2021, and it will stay there as non-permanent member for 2 years. We have won this election that took place I think a month ago or something, and till 1st January 2021 many things hopefully will be gone. This COVID-19 will be gone. USA would have got a new president by then, and the contours of new world order may have emerged. India is serving for 8th time, and we have a very good track record. There are countries like Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan gave up its seat. Not this time. This time Afghanistan gave up its seat for India. Before that, Kazakhstan gave its seat because India's reputation is of a country that takes a balanced position, and it's a country that will look after other members as well. So that's a very good thing. This is something that you cannot buy. You have to earn it, isn't it? Expansion of UNSC is going to be a hot topic. We are going to talk about it as we move on. So let's focus on some other points here. Now, let me remind you about the voting system. So how it works is that you need to have 2/3. Remember this figure here. You need to have 2/3 members voting in favor of you. General Assembly members voting in favor of you if you want to enter this non-permanent seat of United Nations. India you need to have two-thirds majority in your side. India got 184 votes out of total 192 votes. So you can clearly see that India did quite well. But it's a matter of concern as well that there are few countries like We have 8 countries who are against India, so we need to. It's not possible for us to find their names, but we can obviously guess who are those countries. Like, of course, we know. Okay, anyway, leave that thing. It's not that important. Our permanent representative of India, new, is T.S. Tirumurthy. He is the new permanent representative of India. And, he is expert in this thing. So this is just, I want every one of us to, we should at least know who is going to represent our country at UNSC or at UN. So he is T.S. Tirumurthy. Now, how far UN will be able to reform itself, that's going to be a very tough question to answer, because it all depends on what the world is going to be after 6 months. Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. This is a brainchild of our country, and unfortunately it's been ages now, right? If I'm not wrong, it's been 2 decades now that UN has not been able to define terrorism. UN has failed in defining terrorism. So if you don't know what you are dealing with, then how you are going to deal with that thing? Simple as that. So lack of consensus here. And again, India is going to push counter-terrorism, right? This is a big priority for us because we are a victim of terrorism. Then as far as this P5 or expansion of this UNSC is concerned, that you have this P5, permanent 5 nations, USA, then France, then you have China, Russia, UK. These nations, they are permanent members. They have misused veto power in the past. They normally talk about big things, but when it comes to adding more members, all these nations, they speak in one voice. So if we are thinking that we are going to be part of this P5, or world will have P6, in which India will be permanent member, then it will not happen in this 2 years, right? It will take a bit of time. A few weeks ago, we were talking about this article written by one expert. He said that we cannot expect to have big jumps, right? What we can expect is we need to do incremental, tiny little changes, keep on doing those tiny little changes, and in long run you will find that you have made a big difference. And that's what we need to do. India is a very influential country. After permanent members, it is said that India's mission in New York has earned a reputation of being next only to the permanent members in influence. So we need to keep on working on this thing and keep on creating good relations as well as good reputation. India's torture culture needs to end now. This article is written by Ajit Prakash Shah. He is retired Chief Justice of Delhi as well as Madras High Courts. So he is talking about his personal experience as well here, that torture is very common and torture is part of police culture, unfortunately, in our country. And he also gave this example of hypocrisy of our country. Back in 2017, our Attorney General, he was addressing United Nations Human Rights Council. And look at the words here. He's saying that India believes in peace, non-violence, and upholding human dignity. As such, the concept of torture is completely alien to our culture and it has no place in government of nation. This is really a textbook example of hypocrisy. Torture is endemic. Torture is a systemic problem of our country. India has signed UNCERT in 1997, but India has not yet ratified it. And I think I remember a case of a terrorist, right? He was involved in a bomb blast in our country, and I think he is from Sweden. I can't remember his name, but what he said in Swedish court is that please don't send me to India because they will torture me. They have not ratified UNCERT, and there are so many criminals, right? They are saying this thing because Sweden has ratified this UNCERT. So Sweden is responsible, means they have to make sure that they don't do anything that will promote torture. So this sort of not ratifying torture or UNCERT has created a barrier for us, and because of this thing, so many terrorists they fly to other countries, and in their courts they say that don't send us to India because of this thing, and they don't come here, or they are not sent here, and so this is working against us, this torture, and it's also not right. In 2010, a weak prevention of torture bill was introduced. It was sent to select committee, then it got lapsed. And then Ashwin Kumar, back in 2016, he was our former law minister. So Ashwin Kumar started this whole process. He went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court finally rejected this petition filed by Ashwin Kumar. Supreme Court turned its back on its own glorious jurisprudence and its effort to aid lawmaking in the past. So that was very unfortunate. And hashtag end torture today is going on. And it reminds us of George Floyd, this hashtag Black Lives Matter. This whole campaign started. So it's people who can stand up, people can participate, and only then we will get rid of this culture of torture. Now, this one is about precarious condition of hospital cleaning staff. This reminds me of, this article reminds me, it's a very easy to read article, so I'm just giving you the brief of what you will find here, if you want to read it, of course. So, remember this scene from a very famous movie called Munna Bhai MBBS. This is about taking care of cleaning staff. Cleaning staff are, our warriors, right? And we have been appreciating the work of police and work of medical staff in this fight against coronavirus. But this cleaning staff played a very important role in keeping this virus away from us. But what we find is that they are not provided with proper care, right? They are not provided with proper mask and proper things. So if you don't give them tools, then our fight against coronavirus is not going to end. So we have to be very careful here. We cannot take it lightly. And then you have some news items here, dear friends. Of course, you can download the PDF of today's discussion from my Telegram channel and help yourself with these news items. And I will see you soon with daily financial news analysis. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.